Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing in the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Morning, everyone. It's Andrew with the Market Mindset. Today we're catching up with Marco Roque from Cassiar Gold. Now, happy 2023. You just had a big news release just the other day. I know you're part of a bigger group that I know, and I'll let you kind of talk about that. Tell me, just let's get this right out front. Tell me about this news release, and then we'll kind of back into it and kind of go what the two projects with the flagship and where the opportunity is here for investors.
Sounds good. First of all, hi Andrew, and happy New Year to you as well and to your listeners. So yeah, in terms of the news release that we just put out on Tuesday, so we released another 7 drill holes from our drill campaign that we've completed last year. So as a bit of context, we drilled 23,000 meters, 70 drill holes last year. So we just put out 7 more drill holes, and there's still a lot to go. We're actually still 17,000 meters, 50 drill holes to be released over the next few months, but a few weeks, probably a couple of months. These drill holes were from the northwest and west Taurus, and really the headline hole was 98 meters of 1.28 grams per ton, which is really nice width and really nice grade, especially when you consider that it starts from 10 meters downhole, which is really exciting. And when you look at the map view, just specifically on that hole, it looks like it's inside the resource grade shell. But one thing I've been trying to explain to some of our investors is anything that is more than 50 meters away from any drill hole, it just returns 0 grade. So we kind of have a lot of gaps in our resource. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily unmineralized. And this hole is really a case in point. When you look at the cross section, so that hole is hole 176. It looks like the pink area is the resource. It looks like it's inside the resource, but it's on a map view because everything is projected to surface. When you go and see in further detail, you look at the cross section looking southwest. You can see that all these little blocks of colors are the resource blocks, and there's a big green gap here in the middle, which is exactly what that drill hole is, and basically in a gap in a resource. So you can see the clear potential that this has to add ounces in the future potential resource update. So that's really the significance. It's a really nice width, really nice grade, very shallow, and in a gap in a resource that adds to the potential. And the rest of the drill holes, they all intercepted mineralization in many instances, above the cutoff grade, or and sometimes above the resource grade as well, that have that same potential that I was speaking to. So it's another step. So I'm very happy with his drill results. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there's a lot more to come. So can't wait to go get those out as well.
This is a great slide in the way you explained it, because you can see the step outs and how you're filling in the resource, adding a lot more to it. Are the other holes that are going to be coming out, those other 17,000 meters, are they more fill-ins, or are they more spread out, or what's the strategy?
That's a great question.
Some of those.
Yeah, it's a combination, really. So you can see in this map view, just to give a context of the colors. The yellow holes is what we released on Tuesday. So it's these 3 holes here and these 4 holes here in the northwest. Orange is some holes that we already released in the past. Our first press release for this drill campaign was a few months ago. I believe it was in October, and we had extensions here to the Taurus East, and we extended mineralization up to 700 meters east of the current resource and pit shell, which is really exciting. So on this press release I was talking, we were adding to the potential to add ounces within the pit shell, That one on the Taurus East, it has the potential to extend the mineralization and potentially add ounces outside of the pit shell for more stepping out. And then what we have still left are these green holes. You can see, step outs mostly here to the southwest. There are some of those drill holes into the gaps here in the middle. And we also have some outside targets here at Wing Scanning, which is one of our regional scale targets. And we still have a lot of drilling from the Cassiar South area. Cassiar South is an area that we drilled for the first time as a company in 2021. We drilled there 7,000 meters, and we had some pretty spectacular intercepts. Last year, we also drilled 7,000 meters, but a couple of the highlights from the Cassiar South were of the 2021 drill program were 4.8 meters at 35 grams per ton and 6.4 meters at 12.6 grams per ton, which obviously are very nice widths and amazing grades. At Cassiar South is a different style. It goes from, at Taurus we have bulk-tonnage, disseminated gold, and at Cassiar South is more high-grade, narrow veins. And obviously these veins, they pinch and swell and the grade goes up and down. But it certainly has the potential for very exciting intercepts, and that's actually the area where we saw most of the historical production. This area this is where we have 25 kilometers of underground workings, saw 315,000 ounces at nearly 16 grams reported recovered grade. So it's obviously kind of a different ball game, more higher grade, also higher risk because it's harder to hit these narrow veins underground, but
yes,
the reward is also much higher.
And what's interesting, before we get into the two different systems, because for generalists, maybe we can kind of tell them why a bulk tonnage, what that story is kind of like, and that orogenic system. But with this high grade system, which you're basically chasing veins down, you actually on top of that have a mill which could process that specific, not the bulk tonnage one. So maybe kind of we'll talk about the future. Imagine the future if that was the case, that you have the mill right there on the property.
This is actually a key aspect, a key benefit of our company. We have a lot of infrastructure already. We have a highway bisecting our property. We have 160 kilometers of property access roads. We have mine permits, which is extremely valuable. The mine permits cover both Taurus, in and around Taurus here with this green area, as well as the Cassiar South, where we have most of the past production, the infrastructure, and all these exciting high-grade intercepts. And we also have a fully owned and permitted mill that processed most of those 315,000 ounces at an average recovery of 93%, which is very nice recovery. And this is mostly in the 80s and 90s. So hopefully we can even in the future improve on that. So it's quite a unique position to be. It's a very valuable asset as a company. We're clearly an explorer because we're just in the because a lot of people look at the infrastructure and think, whoa, you have almost everything, when you start mining.
Yes, yeah.
But in terms of the exploration, we have so much potential. We've explored less than 1% of our property. As you could see, Taurus is wide open laterally in all directions on the bulk tonnage. And the Cassiar South high-grade veins, most of the known vein systems that we have are open along strike. And in addition to that, periodicity suggests that we have a lot of potential for every 400 to 600 meters to have parallel vein systems. And we have a 15-kilometer trend, and these vein systems occur in clusters, and they have a potential to have 150,000 ounces each. And we have 17 portals there. So there's a lot of potential here, but we need to go through the motions and really explore this properly and extend the veins, or try to extend the veins, and that's what we're trying to do. And we've been quite successful in 2021. We don't know what's in store for the drilling that we have in 2022. There's still a lot to come, but it's certainly part of the property that is very exciting because of the potential of this high-grade material, but also because we have those mine permits and a fully owned and permitted mill, which really, as you start exploring and having exploration success, as when we come to the point where you can start building a high grade resource inventory, then all the pieces of the puzzle start coming together, and you're really starting seeing the real potential for a production scenario where we already have a lot of those pieces, but we're still in the early stages of exploration. So, but we certainly are in a very unique position as a company because we already have these pieces and we're having that exploration success. We just need the time and the resources to build it and add the missing pieces.
It's really cool to see with like brownstone projects because you have a ton of data, and people will look and go, okay, so it's been mined before, and you go, well, when it was mined before, it was very different. And obviously, if we go back like 80, 100 years, you would have chased after the obvious stuff that's outcropping, simple to see. We're just going to chase after those. But now, I mean, mining technology and techniques have gone very far ahead. That I always like to remind the generalist investor, because if they think of a property, go, well, it's old, it's done, there's nothing there. I go, no. There could be a lot more that they wouldn't even be known, either I may say underburdened or just the economic situation to change. So it's exciting to see these 17 portals and how these kind of patches in the property are kind of structured 400 meters apart. That's the exciting big number phrase that like the 14 grams per ton that people's eyes light up, or 35 grams, that type of thing. But maybe walk us through then, because it's a great educational piece for people. Someone goes, that's great. Now, why am I excited about the bulk tonnage at 1 grams per gold? Because a lot of people, if they're new, they'll go, oh, 1 gram, that's okay, I'm not interested.
Yeah, well, I mean, like 17 grams will always be better than sure. 1 gram. That's no doubt. The question is, it's going to be very hard to find a lot of ounces of 17 grams. I would be happy on the first stage. I'll be delighted to get, say, 500,000 ounces of 20 gram per ton material, and we already have a 1.4 million resource of 1.14 grams per ton material. But I want a lot more.
Yes.
But it's a matter of economics. Obviously, when you're talking about 1 gram per ton material, the margins will be slightly lower. So on these bulk tonnage deposits, you're looking for tonnage. You want size. Typically, and this is a bit of an oversimplification, a bit of a rule of thumb, you want to have at least a 1 million ounce deposit. Typically these days majors are more typically looking at 2 million ounce deposits, 200,000 ounces production a year for 10 years. That's kind of like what the big companies are looking for, and we want to achieve that target as soon as possible. But we need to get the turf machine, aka the drill rig, out there and continue to expand. But and it's quite interesting you make that comment as well, because we did have a bit of a kind of social media kind of interaction, kind of asking people, what you prefer, the bulk tonnage, the high grade. There's preferences. A lot of people prefer the bulk tonnage. It's lower risk, kind of lower return. It's when you're drilling at the bulk tonnage at Taurus, you never know when you're stepping out. If you're drilling there for the first time, you don't know what you're going to find. But it's a lot more likely that you hit mineralization at the bulk tonnage when you step out than when you're looking for the narrow high grade veins, because these veins are on average 2 to 3 meters thick. So although you can have those intercepts that are 3, 4, 5, 6 meters, but on average they're on 2 or 3 meter thick. So it's more likely you hit mineralization at Taurus. It's kind of lower risk, but the high grade veins, they're higher risk, but they're also higher rewards, and they're certainly very sexy. And everyone loves high grade. My objective would be to find the higher grade 20 gram per ton material as easily as I find the 1 gram material, but the nature didn't do us that favor. And obviously you were mentioning about the past mining. Most of the easy stuff around the world has been mined, so people, we need to go further, go deeper. and obviously the price of gold and the technology also helps, because if we're looking maybe 20 years ago, gold price was maybe like $300, and now we're getting close to 2,000. And the higher it goes, the more economic it is to mine this stuff. And what you're seeing in terms of grade is that probably the average grade on the open pit these days, which is what will be the scenario at Taurus, potentially would be half a gram. That's what people are kind of mining these days. So anything above a gram is a comfortable grade. The grade is the biggest factor into the how economic a deposit is in a production scenario. So I like both, and I want to keep on growing both.
And you've got both, and which is really interesting too, because you've got the like you mentioned, the highway separating the two. And I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that highway, you could take that, or maybe not the exact same highway, but it connects. You could drive by car from Vancouver up there.
That's right. Actually, you can drive from Vancouver all the way to the top of that 1.4 million ounce resource without ever leaving a paved road. And there's very few deposits that are this accessible. So we have infrastructure, we have access as well. And this is the benefit of being a brownfield project. And that's great because it keeps costs low for operation, but also puts us probably tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars ahead in development costs, because we have, the Yukon has been having kind of big success in exploration, but the infrastructure there is much lighter. So the bar is much higher when you discover a deposit, because when you discover a deposit, if it's in the middle of nowhere and you have to go by helicopter, the deposit needs to be economic enough so you can build all the roads, all the infrastructure, power, etc. And we are quite lucky because we already have been handed that by the old timers. So we are very fortunate on that sense.
And then, so people, I always ask, the kind of the urgency, and I mean, in part, you've already told us you've got results for the next weeks and weeks of 17,000 meters still to come in, which I'm sure there's lots of people who are waiting patiently. But for anyone new, I mean, that's exciting. The wait is over. It's going to be happening right away. So if you're interested in the story, you need to be paying attention now. And before we jump into let me first ask you, because that's something that's key, is to know that that's happening. How much cash do you have, and then what's the next steps moving forward?
Yeah, we have just under 6 million, and we have so in terms of as I mentioned in the beginning, so we drilled 23,000 meters last year. So far, we've only released less than 6,000 meters, 20 drill holes. So we still have 17,000 meters, 50 drill holes to be released. So that's basically over 75% of our program. So I can't wait to get that out. So it's very exciting. It's going to be very heavy news flow probably in the next couple of months. We'll probably have likely a press release every week or every other week, and probably until middle to late March. So it's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming out there.
Excellent. Well, it was a real pleasure catching up with you, Marco, and taking the time to explain this to us. We're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks to see as this develops, because like you said, it's nice having the bulk tonnage. You can fill in that expanded resource numbers and move the inferred over, but also those high grade ones. I mean, it'll be interesting to see that. I think you said there's 7,000 meters of core coming out of that. So it'll be an interesting couple of weeks here for sure.
It will. I can't wait to get those out.
All right. Well, thanks so much, and have a good day.
Thank you. You too, Andrew. Thanks for your time.